And welcome everyone. It's a good time to start. Please, if you can see me, if you can hear me, say a word about that on a YouTube chat so I will know we can start. And how's the sound? Yes, all good. Thank you, Miguel. Thank you, Time. Thank you, Dean. Looks like everyone can hear me loud and clear, and that means we can start. First of all, for those of you who joined 1 hour earlier, I'm very sorry. Daylight time savings change tricked us, and in Europe we don't do this time change yet. In United States, people did already, so we start like 1 hour later for some of you, and I'm very sorry for that. So let's put a good use to this time. Time is the most important thing what we have, and of course, you are investing your time right now very wisely. So let's go. I'm Alex Volishnev, developer advocate, lead of developer advocates and head of developer education at DataStax. That means what I'm responsible for all kind of trainings and workshops we do, online courses and many other activities what DataStax developers are doing. Yes, this workshop is live and it's being recorded and it will be available afterwards using the same link. Actually, a very big team worked on these workshops as well as many other workshops. So thank you, the team, but today I will be the only speaker. Now, what's going to happen today? We will work on the application, what is based on JavaScript, what is based on GraphQL, NoSQL database, and it's being deployed and runs in the internet. So we are going to do many things today. Let's start because, well, there's pretty a lot of things for us to do, and we want to stay on time. First, housekeeping. Things you need to know for how is this workshop done. Actually, we run workshops twice a month, so stay tuned for all the other workshops we do. First, it's a live stream, so it's happening right now. If you watch it on 22nd of March, later, when that means you watch a recording, still not a big deal. YouTube platform is the primary platform for us, and that's how we go. With questions, you have two options. You can stick to YouTube chat, but as soon as YouTube stream is over, chat will be closed and no one will answer your questions. So if you want to get to them, if you want to get to us and ask questions after the workshop, maybe you want to change something or you need still some support, it's fine. Then we suggest you to use our Discord chat with the link dtaStax.io/Discord. And it should be of a good support for you for this and all the other workshops. Now, to ask questions and play some games, we use menti.com. You will use it in a moment. Now, it's a hands-on workshop, so you are going to write code and you are going to deploy your application, you are going to click some buttons. For that, we will use 4 platforms. So with some of them, you must be familiar already. I hope most of you use or at least have heard of GitHub. So obviously, GitHub account is required for this workshop. And I hope you have one already, or you can create one in a moment. Then, Gitbot. What is Gitbot? Gitbot is a cloud IDE. Integrated development environment. So you can write your code and do whatever changes you want to do with your application, with your own instance of application. We will be working together today, right in your browser, so you don't have to install anything. And then 2 more things. AstraDB and Astra in general is an online platform which is a database as a service and streaming service as a service. So every application needs some database to store your data. We could make you to install proper databases on your own laptop, but there are 2 problems. First, one more thing to do and you will have to install a database. And second, as soon as you switch off your notebook or your laptop or your personal computer, if this database is down and your application is not accessible to the visitors. We don't want it. So for a database for this application, we use AstroDB, which is Apache Cassandra in the cloud managed by DataStax. It has a very big free tier, so you don't pay for anything. All this workshop, all its content, it's totally free. And then finally, same with the application. You can run application on your own laptop, totally works. But then as soon as you close it, your application is not available and therefore like no one can use it. So Netlify is a great online platform we use to host this application. So doesn't matter if you are online or not, your application still runs and available to your visitors. And that's a platform we will use to deploy our application is in production-like environment. Let's keep moving. For operations, we will use AstroClay, but I don't want to stop on it right now. You will see it in a moment. Now, you invest your time in learning. And that means what you are curious. That means what you are best people to me, my best friends. And we want to glorify that. If you complete this workshop, both theoretical part like online part, and complete the homework, which will be easy to do if you follow my steps together with me or after the workshop. Then you get participation certificate or participation badge. You will have to submit your homework, but it's a pretty easy thing to do. Good. Let's move on. Now, let me ask you some questions. To answer questions now and then participate in the quiz later, you will have to go to menti.com and enter code 95227152. Or you know what, let me copy a link, but you better open this on your mobile phone because it's easier to answer questions without switching tabs. So one more time, it's menti.com and the code is 95227152. Good. Or you know what? I will actually just show you QR code. So you can scan this QR code with your mobile phone. I'm hiding the part of a QR code. No, you are good. You can see it. Good. Yes. Yeah, right. Code orbits. You can brag with this badge on LinkedIn or YouTube. And don't forget, as we run many of workshops, you actually can get many of badges from all the other workshops with React Native, with Introduction to NoSQL, Introduction to GraphQL, and so on and so forth. By the way, you know what? In 2 weeks, we run workshop AI as an API, where we show how do you develop text classification service available with REST API, and that's like maybe a very good introduction on how do you publish AI-based applications as a RESTful service, as a REST service. That happens in 2 weeks, and we have very cool, very educated, experienced trainers to show you how it works. So I see a lot of people from the United States, a lot of people from Europe and India, great. And what is that? Is that Vietnam? I'm not sure. In Asia and Brazil, perfect. Oi, galera. Africa, perfect. That's like we are totally global. No one from Australia or lazy guys from Australia don't join. I guess it's a deep night for them. Cool. Let's keep working. Then, do you have any previous experience with GraphQL? It is not necessary. No, my Portuguese is not so good, but I have many Portuguese friends, many Brazilian friends. Yeah, I see. Make that better. Indian from Portugal working for American project. I'm Russian living in Germany working for an American company. That's how world runs in 21st century, right? I live in Germany for 8 years and yeah. So I am with you. Good, complete beginner. It's totally fine, comfortable, great, considered an expert. Oh, GraphQL inventor didn't visit us today. That's okay. I mean, like we can do it without. So take a look. If you're a GraphQL beginner, you might want also to want another hour workshop which is completely dedicated to GraphQL in details. Today we will use GraphQL, but we will not get into the details. So we have workshop introduction to GraphQL. You can watch and learn on YouTube, follow steps, do homework, ask questions on Discord, and ask and get your answers. Still complete homework and get your badge. So workshop is not over. Let's go. Oh, yeah, right, David. It's free at night in Australia. So that's definitely a good excuse to not visit a workshop. So most of you familiar with React, again, great. If you are not familiar with React, you still can do this workshop, don't worry. So you will have running application in the end. React part might be unobvious for you, but React actually is a pretty great thing. I liked it, although I'm not a big front-end guy. I'm more on the back end of the DevOps, but still like I enjoyed my experience with React as well. And that's we have a special materials ready as introduction to React as well. What not the part of this workshop, but available as additional materials. And finally, did you ever use NoSQL databases before? That will be my last question before we proceed with the workshops. No, only a little. Yes, all the time. Okay, experience of the people here is pretty clear for NoSQL. Again, we will be using NoSQL database today, but we will doing that using GraphQL. So you will see one of the very interesting ways to communicate with the database, not using traditional query languages, but using modern GraphQL developed by. We will get to GraphQL very soon. Yeah, I see some DynamoDB fans here. I'm with you, DynamoDB. By the way, architecturally, DynamoDB is not so far from Apache Cassandra. We will be using today. They share some experience. Gerardo asks, for a DevOps engineer, I recommend to learn React? I would say nope, because React stands very strongly on the front end side of the things, obviously. And for a DevOps engineer, React will be a site too far. You see, I'm in this business for like 20 years to be soon. So in this time, I was working with front end, with back end, with DevOps, with SRE, like with nearly all of the technologies known currently. For DevOps engineer, I would suggest some different extensions. Good. So situation is pretty clear. Let's proceed with this part. So overall architecture of application we are going to do today. What it's going to be. What do we want? We want an application which runs in the internet, so it will be available for everyone using this path. Not this path, but each one of you will have his or her own path. It's deployed to a public URL. It's available. It has pagination and it shows movies and infinite scroll for genres. So it's kind of a first page of the Netflix. Data will be loaded from a real database, so it will be basically a real application available in the internet, loading data from the database, how it normally works. Now, regular full stack application consists of three parts, we can say. Database, where you store data. Backend, which runs on a server and makes backend work like business logic, and front end or user interface, which runs, for example, in a web browser or in mobile browser or as a mobile native application. For today, we will go with separate story, little bit different design, very interesting approach. Our application will be running in a browser, so it's a front-end application, and it will use API and some serverless functions to access database. So normally you work with databases using special drivers. In our case, we will use GraphQL to work with a database with a special data proxy. You will see it in a moment in the bigger details. So Our application will be based on JavaScript plus React for a user interface, serverless functions based on Node.js, so server-side JavaScript. For API, we use GraphQL, and as a database, we will use Apache Cassandra as a service. Now, there are, I don't know, you have very different experience, people. Some of you have like strong experience and like work developers for a long time already, and some of you students with not so big experience. So I want it to be useful for all of you. Application can run in different environment. Sometimes you just develop it and you don't want your public to see your changes while they are not done. It's called a development environment. For this, we will use Gitbot. You all will do in a moment. And then for a production environment, so the deployment of application which is used by real people for real, we will use Netlify. So you will have two copies of application running, one for changes for development and one for production purposes on Netlify. Good. That was overall architecture. And first, we want to start working with data, because what data is the most important part of any application. What would Facebook cost without all of its pictures, text messages sent, users created, and so on and so forth? So first thing we do, we go with a database setup. And we are going to discuss and we are going to create some data. Now, brief introduction to Apache Cassandra. Apache Cassandra is extremely powerful NoSQL database. It was created in the year 2012 originally in Facebook, and by a coincidence, or maybe not such a coincidence, in the year 2012 first, Facebook reached their first 100 million customers all around the world. They needed database to answer some problems, what basically there were no database before capable of that. So it's ready for big data, like really big data, petabytes of data of any size, basically. Have extremely high read-write performance, linear scalability. So if you need to store more data, it can make it easier with no overhead. Highest possible availability, self-healing and automation, and geographical distribution, which is very important. So many databases can have multiple data centers around the world in different regions, but most of them do it in active passive mode. So one data center is active, you can write data and read data from it. And all the other data centers are passive, so you can only read from them. Cassandra has geographical distribution, so multiple data centers as a single cluster, but with all data centers active, so you can write data to any data center. That is a very cool feature. So Cassandra is a distributed decentralized OLTP database, which is extremely powerful, which handles, for example, on these geographically distributed data centers built in a single cluster. Apple reports what they run around 300,000 database servers for Apache Cassandra only dedicated, and they store hundreds petabytes of data. If you use any kind of a MacBook or iPhone, you are using Apache Cassandra already, you just don't know about that. And they handle millions of queries per second. Well, you can imagine Apple scale. Netflix are great guys because they are not only using Cassandra, well, Apple as well, they're developing and contributing because it's open source Apache Software Foundation project now. Netflix reports what their single most active cluster a couple of years ago was handling 30 million operations per second. So that's what I mean when I say big data with hundreds of petabytes. That's what I mean when I say like real hyperscale database. So it's a database used by biggest companies in the world. By the way, if you are interested on how Netflix uses Cassandra, we have a special recording available on this link, dts6.io/Cassandra at Netflix. So you can see their cloud database architect, Vinay Kumar Chella, shares the story on how Cassandra uses it at Netflix. It's very interesting, like I very recommend. Good. Two things you need to know about Apache Cassandra. Apache Cassandra is probably most scalable and most powerful NoSQL database. open source NoSQL database because there are some proprietary competitors. And that's a very advanced project. So it really can boost your career if you know how to use such powerful technology as Cassandra. But you really better learn how to use it before deploying, because it's exactly like with the airplane. You better learn how to do it. You better learn how to land before taking off. Exactly the same way. Now, you know what? DataStax sponsors your NoSQL education and certification. So if you want to become a certified NoSQL developer for free at academy.datastax.com, you can take the online courses. They are free. Get your voucher for free certification. Normal cost, normal price is around 150 United States dollars, I believe, and take your certification completely for free. Ask us more if you're interested in Discord. So, good. Now, I don't want you to deploy Cassandra on your laptop. It's going to take some time. And today we will be using Cassandra as a service, so also known as AstroDB. And that's what DataStax does. And that's what you will use as an online database for your application. It has a very good free tier, so you don't pay for this usage. It's completely free. So we discussed it. First thing we will do is we will create an Astro database. Maybe you attended one of our previous workshops, then you have this process partially done. If you didn't, still totally fine. And we will see how it goes for us. So we switch to first hands-on part, which is database setup. To go with that, we will use a special link. Now give me a second to grab a link for you. We will use this link. Oops, wrong button. Yep, this link. And I'm going to show you how it goes. So in my case, I don't have to log in because I already logged in. I will just sign in with GitHub, or yeah, sign in with Google, doesn't matter. I use my private email because Astra has such a generous free tier, so I don't need to use my company account actually. Okay, so I don't want this, I don't want that, and let us go. First, if you do have a workshops database already, that means what you attended one of our previous workshops before. If you don't, it's totally fine. Let's create the database. I will show you how you do that. So I go to databases and I push create database button. First, I have to put a database name. You have to call it workshops, but I have database name at workshops already. So I will call it workshops 1. My keyboard went crazy today. Now, key space name, please put Netflix. You can change key space and database name, but then you will have to adjust application configuration. So I recommend you to stick to workshops without number 1. I just have workshops database already. Now, as a provider, you pick Google Cloud because we want to stick to free tier, not go to paid tier. So Google Cloud is included in our free tier offer. In general, you can pick also Amazon Web Services of Microsoft Azure. Oh, there is a great question. Mushtabasai asks, should we follow along? So take a look. There are two options. First option, if you are comfortable, you are by your laptop, you have everything, maybe even to screen setup or big screen, you can follow along and do it all with me immediately. That's in general recommended. If you may be a beginner and you want to do it on your own pace or whatever, you're watching it from your tablet or mobile phone, you cannot do it online, you cannot do it live, totally fine. Watch me doing that, then do the same steps on your own, and you will be good. Now, finally, as a region, Pick whatever closest to you. I live in Germany, so I will pick Europe West 1, and I will stay on a free tier, I believe. Yes, that should look like that. It creates database. Now, creating database will take some time because it's a real database with some special servers dedicated for that. So its state is pending, and it will take some time for us to prepare everything. But usually it will be ready in a couple of minutes. So we can switch to overview mode, and we can see whatever comes, what the database. Oh, okay. It must be available in a moment, actually. Yes, I have a key space. No, still pending. Good. My workshops, my regular workshops database is ready. Now, next thing we are going to do, we are going to get special token to work with our database. Good. We can create a custom token, but I will use plain generated token. Worked well for me. That should be enough. When you push this button, create token, you will get your token details. Store them because it's the first and only time you see your token details. It cannot be viewed for security reason afterwards. So you want to download token details to have access to them each and every time you will need them. And this token will be completely enough for us for now. Don't forget to copy your own token. Now, next thing, we should be done with the first part here, and we can proceed with the instructions. Regarding the instructions, let me. Oh, liftoff. Workshop 1 is now active. Okay, so it took a minute, but it's ready. For you, it must be more or less the same. Now, I will send you a GitHub link, what you will need. And by the way, there are all the instructions. Oh, Nightbot is working. Perfect. So Nightbot just pasted the link for our GitHub instructions. And that's how GitHub repository works. If this how this repository looks, if you would like to do those exercises on your own later, the hands-on part, if you cannot follow me, it's all very well explained how it works in our workshop, GraphQL Netflix at DataStax developers at github.com. So with the first part, we go with a database login or register to Astra database and create a database. You can do it without Astra if you have your own Apache Cassandra cluster, but I guess it's really easier for now to stick to a managed solution, so much less works. Good. We created already a database, workshops, with a key space name Netflix. Now, we go and we want to create a security token, which is done already. And finally, we start using GraphQL, but I believe we better first discuss some things about GraphQL before we proceed with the GraphQL playground. Good. So beginning is ready. Now GraphQL. We have now database running. But database isolated from the world is not enough, right? We want this database to be available for our application. We need some API to communicate. And in our case, for this workshop purposes, we will use GraphQL. Why GraphQL? Why not native drivers? Native drivers require you to learn Cassandra Query Language, CQL, to communicate with Cassandra. And that's not the easiest thing. Now, today your project uses Cassandra, your next project may be using another database, so you will have to learn again some another database query language. Most of you already know SQL, and so on and so forth. Lena Jones, I will show a token in a moment. Again, Now, GraphQL is a unified language to work with data, which you can use across multiple projects, and it offers some very, very nice capabilities, what are rarely available. Some of them are rarely available in other query languages or database-specific query languages. Um, yes, sorry. Yeah, right. So, Uh, initially, GraphQL was created in Facebook and used internally for mobile apps. That's this language technically is as old as Cassandra. We've celebrating 2 years last year, and it was used internally for mobile apps. Then in 2015, Facebook started to open source it to make it available for everyone, gave a talk at React.js conference, and it became an open source language to query data in 2015. Then now very many companies started to move and started to use GraphQL. For example, GitHub started in 2016. Netflix uses it. I don't know, I don't remember for how many years, but Netflix is heavy user of GraphQL. Real Netflix, I mean, not the clone we are creating today. GraphQL is an application programming interface, query language, and server-side runtime, what helps customers to get precisely data they request with the help of queries and change this data with the mutations. Um, Typically, you describe your data in the statements, like what kind of a data do you want to have. Ask for what you want with your queries and get predictable results. And it uses JSON, JavaScript object notation to interact with the data. Uh, Benefits of GraphQL is discoverability and introspection of the data you have, so you can get definition of what kind of a data can be fetched, declarative data fetching, schema stitching, very customizable responses, like what exactly you need to move if you don't want to move multiple things from backend to frontend. For when you have millions of operations per second, it will be too expensive to move for a single operation, even a single bit of data. Flexible versioning, and it's based on the standards what every developer knows or at least needs to know, so JavaScript object notation and HTTP. From the downsides, it's had pretty complex implementation, and tooling is well project was open sourced not so long time ago. Some queries for database might be pretty complex to execute, but good for customers. So if you're in the front-end development, you will like it. And extra work for backend is nothing for you, right? Caching might be hard, but there are some interesting approaches to handle that. Again, today we don't get deep into GraphQL because we focus more on the application. If you want to know more about GraphQL, which totally deserves your time, get to our dedicated workshop, Introduction to GraphQL, where we work on GraphQL much more in details. Now, typical usages for GraphQL is it's used as backend for frontend. So frontend needs to get some data, and GraphQL delivers this data. Aggregation, composition of a data from different sources, which is a pretty cool feature, and strong control over data transfer, like when bandwidth matters, when you don't have a good internet connection, it's very open usage. Good. For us, we will have two primary database usage patterns. We will get the movie genres, so customer can see different genres of a movie our Netflix clone offers, and get movie for a genre. So when someone picks like I want to watch horror, then show a list of movies of this genre. So horror movies, for example. Yeah, Weber in Germany looks like horror movie right now. So now, I don't want to stick to data modeling part of a Cassandra because it's by itself deserves extended workshop. But these kind of queries indeed very good for to do proper data modeling with Cassandra, because in Cassandra data model goes from the idea we design table after the query. So query comes first, table comes second. It's not like it goes in relational databases where it goes opposite way. First data, so table, and then query using this data. Data we are going to store. So reference list is going to be for the genres, and movies by genre, therefore, will be our movies by genre. Well, that's pretty self-explanatory. With genre as a partition key and here in title as clustering columns. Now you might guess what's that? That's a Cassandra terminology. We don't get deep into that. For Cassandra, if you are interested and if you want to improve your database and NoSQL skills, we have Introduction to Cassandra workshop. But moreover, we have a free online, massive online open course, so you can get like a real training for that completely for free. Good. So reference list is the one to get our genres, and movies by genre is to get our movies. Now you might wonder, if you have experience with relational database, you might ask me, why do we have this thing like genre action, genre anime, genre award-winning, and so on and so forth? Answer is, with relational database, you might be used to get the list of genres just from the movies table. So you have table movies, each movie has a genre, and you can say select distinct genre from movies, right? Like that's how many of you, I believe, use it to do it using distinct statement of SQL. Now take a look. Many of the things you use it to do in SQL in a huge distributed decentralized NoSQL database counted for petabytes and for millions of queries per second will work not really great. Imagine you want to get a list of genres, so you would like to do something like select distinct genre from movies. Considering, for example, cluster of a Netflix size, which includes dozens, thousands of database servers, considering what table is being partitioned, so the table data is split into chunks and distributed across multiple servers. To get distinctly all the genres, you will have to go and ask all the servers what store this table. And there might be hundreds and thousands of them if you have a lot of movies like Netflix does. So as a result, you will, just to get a list of genres, you will have to wait for minutes before a database will go ask on each server, like, what are the genres you are storing? Right? It's totally stupid. So in these distributed databases, in partitioned databases, you don't do queries like select distinct. It's definitely going to be too slow. Instead of that, you keep a special dictionary like this in the reference list. You have label genre and value action. And then you need to get all the genres. You just do a simple select query, select all from label, and it's going to be a simple query which will hit only one server instead of a need to ask 1,000 servers, right? Okay, so I hope I explained that. So now how it works. Apache Cassandra natively works with Cassandra query language. And so all the statement needs to be written in CQL, Cassandra query language. Now, you don't need to know SQL to do this workshop, because we use special project called Stargate.io. Stargate is a data gateway for Cassandra. It's an open source project, so you can use it with plain Cassandra or DataStax Enterprise or AstroDB. And what it does, it provides different APIs, including GraphQL, but also REST, also gRPC. And it converts the statement you do in GraphQL or REST or gRPC into Cassandra query language statements. It joins Cassandra cluster as a coordinator-only node and execute these queries for you, so you don't need to learn Cassandra query language, although it's a great tool to have. But today we focus on GraphQL. And then, so that's how it works. Your GraphQL hits Stargate, which is deployed on AstroDB, and your query is being executed. You will see it in a moment in real action, and you will do it in a moment for real. So data setup. We are going to set up some tables for our data, and we are going to write data with GraphQL Playground. Very, very important notice. In GraphQL Playground, you will have two tabs, one for schema and one for data. And if you use wrong tab, it will not work. I mean, like you will have to execute your statements in a proper tab. And notice, those are your browser tabs. And those are playground tabs. I'm speaking about playground tabs. One is GraphQL schema for schema, and one is GraphQL for data. So know the difference and pay attention to it. So let me do that now. First, there was a question on how do I get token. Easiest way to get token is to just push this button to get application token. But also you can create a custom token which will also do the work. If you are going to create a token, yeah, it's available on Connect tab of your database. And yeah, I hope your database is named Workshops, not Workshops 1. Let me actually switch to Workshops. Yes, so your database name should be Workshops. Good. Now, in the Connect tab, you will have this quick start. If one-time token is not generated, you can generate it. Also, you can create a custom token. And creating a custom token, please select role if you will be doing that, database administrator. But plain token also works, where one-time token, generated token also works well for me. Good. So you can push generate token button, and data of your token will be shown here. Don't forget to download token details. You will never see these token details again. So with token, that's clear, I hope. Now let's go and use some GraphQL. What we are going to do, we go to the Connect tab. Now we scroll down, select and connect using API, connect using GraphQL API. There is also document API, REST API. We will not cover them today. Now, on the step 2, you will have a GraphQL playground link. Please open this link is in a new tab. And here we get to our playground. Notice again, GraphQL schema is to operations with schema, with tables, and GraphQL tab is for queries and mutations of the data. So first, we currently have, we can notice what we have. You need to have, if you execute this statement, show key spaces, show only the name of the key spaces. It looks like that. Then you execute that, you get a list of the key spaces. I have a little bit more than you because I did some of the workshops using this account before, but what really matters is what your key space is named Netflix, because application expects this name to work. I guess you have it already right now. Now, we have to create table for genders with GraphQL. We go to step 3C and get this mutation. In GraphQL, mutation is a statement what changes something. Query what gets data is query, and query what changes something is called mutation. Let's take a closer look at this statement and how it looks like. Notice again, I execute this statement in the left tab. So mutation and the name of this mutation. A reference list is something what I create. So I create table. Key space name is Netflix. Table name reference list. If not exist, true. So if it exists already, it will not be created. It makes no sense. You can execute the statement many times. It will not. It will be executed only once. Now I define some partition keys and clustering columns, which are out of scope because it's already getting Cassandra specific, and we want to keep going things. Oops, yeah, my keyboard is crazy today. So I want to execute this statement, and I get this simple answer: data reference list true, created. Very well. Now I can go further, and I want to insert general data with GraphQL. So that's going to be the mutation I'm going to execute. I just copy this thing from GitHub workshop content, and we can get a closer look again, but let's do it in the playground. Now notice, important, I switch to GraphQL tab, and I change GraphQL tab path to Netflix to lead it to our again, this part is very important. If you try to execute it for system, like it was before, mutation will fail because Netflix table is not ready here. So I copy paste it here, and we can take a closer look at our mutation. That is mutation. Its mutation's name is insert genres. You can change the name, but well, let's stick to those. We do what? Action insert reference list. So reference list we created in GraphQL schema, this reference list. And we are going to insert some values. Label will be genre, and value will be action or anime or award winning or children and family, and so on and so forth. When I execute this, I see the result. I see the answer data. Then if I see it like this, there is no errors. That means data has been inserted successfully. If you are doing this workshop live with me, if you are following along and not waiting till the end of the workshop, if it works for you, please tell me in the YouTube chat, set a thumbs up or something. And if you get an error, then mostly probably, or you didn't put this Netflix part instead of a system, or you didn't switch tab from GraphQL schema to GraphQL. Actually, you will notice what this path changes. Yeah, working. Perfect. Cool programmer, Kevin, Luis. Yes, that's good to hear. If any of you will get into the errors, we can discuss it later in using our Discord chat. Nice. So let's keep going with that. Let's proceed to the next. Oh my God, so many people doing it right. Perfect. Kevin had to refresh a page for it to work. Okay, good to know. For me, it worked without refresh, but I will consider, yeah, for the future workshops. Thank you. Now, we just inserted some data. Let's retrieve this data. I scroll to step 5a, and I'm getting this statement, and I'm executing that in playground, working with data. So let's take a closer look at this statement. It's going to be a query, not a mutation. This query name is get all genres. We are going to query for a reference list. And the value we are going to get is this label genre. That's what we need. Then I query for this, I get it. So my answer data comes from reference list, and it has values, value action, value anime, value award winning, and so on. So exactly as we designed it here. So far, so good. Now we have data. Now we have list of genres, but we have only table. We need still to create table for movies. So I get this mutation, create movies table from here, and I put it to the playground. Notice, this is a mutation for schema. That means it belongs to schema. I go to GraphQL schema, tab here. I put it on here, and let's take a closer look on it. It's a mutation, name it create movies table. It will create table movies by genre. Key space name will be Netflix. Table name will be movies by genre. If not exist true, so if table is exist already, it will not change it. And partition keys, clustering keys is a Cassandra-specific thing, which I will not discuss, but what matters for us, it will have genre, type text, year, type integer, title, type text, synopsis, duration, and thumbnail, text, int, text accordingly. So let me execute them, and you see data, movies by genre, true. Perfect, so far so good. I can go and open it and see what it was created. But first I want to insert some movies. So in the step 7a, we are going to execute mutation insert movies. There is an interesting thing about this mutation. And notice again, I'm changing, that's about data. So I switch to this step. And this mutation insert movies, it inserts multiple different changes, multiple different values. So it will be sci-fi movie Inception, sci-fi movie Prometheus, and some bunch of sci-fi movies. I execute this mutation, and they see what there were safely inserted. Very nice. Now we have data in our database. Now, a very interesting thing, pagination. One of the native features of GraphQL is pagination. And of course, pagination for us is very important. I believe most of you know what the pagination is. For those who didn't work with pagination yet, simple explanation. Imagine you are opening Netflix main page and it tries to show you all the movies it has at once. And Netflix has a lot of movies. Your browser will explode, your laptop will explode, network connection will be busy transferring gigabytes of data. For what particular reason, you don't need to see all the movies Netflix has at once. Pagination means we split this information into chunks or pages, so-called pages. So we show some of them, but once in a step. So in our database, when I'm trying to get movies by genre for sci-fi movies, I'm copying this statement, go to playground, go to data tab, insert this statement, and take a look. Order by year descending, and value genre sci-fi. So I will get only sci-fi movies, and I'm going to get year, title, duration, synopsis, and thumbnail. Actually, I don't need thumbnail, so let me cut it off. Good. So I will execute this statement, and I get some movies. I get all of the movies at once. I have more movies than you will do at this step because I already loaded more data into this table. You will do it later in the next steps of the workshop. But the real idea is what were quite some movies. And now we want to introduce pagination. So very easy. We go to step 8b, and I add special option page size 2 to the description of this query. So simple as that. Options page size 2. That means obviously what size of a page is going to be 2. And as a result, as you could guess, I will have only 2 movies here. Okay, simple as that. Now, what happens when customer clicks the button next page, or like with infinite scroll, you scroll down? We have to load more data. We have to load next page. How do we get to the next page? Let me show you. First thing, this information is not enough for us. We need to get so-called page state. In the second part of the query, in the first part of the query, we explain how do we filter data, what value should it be, value should be genre sci-fi, order by year descending, yes. In the second part, we explain what values are we going to get, year, title, duration, and so on. Now we need to get some more. We need to get so-called page state. I get this page state and I add it to the query part, to the second part of this GraphQL. So right after values, you can copy the whole statement if you feel unsafe. I just work with the statement in parts. So then you execute that. Take a look, something has changed. I get so-called page state here, and it's quite a string. You can say yours will look differently because it's randomly generated, but you get the idea. It's some page state describing number of a page in this listing. So I can execute this query multiple times. Nothing will change because I am on the same page. Now we are going to change something. We are going to retrieve the next page. Very well, easy like that. We go to step 8c, fetch the next page, and we add a special option, page state, your page state. Notice it says your page state because you have to replace it with a value from your answer. So I get here, I go to options and I add this one, page state, and now I update it with this value from here. And I put it here and I execute this statement again. Notice movies have changed because I'm on the different page already. Now I got a new page state. What changes? If I put it again here, I will be automatically translated to the next page, and so on and so forth. And of course, you can change page size, set it to 3, and you will have different count of items per page. Now, some of you might be familiar with paging in another databases or frameworks. There is a general idea what you can specify a particular page. So I want to go to page 1, I go to page 2, I want to go to page 3, and so on. You can get count of pages. The story is for a really big data, for a customer of, for a count of users on Facebook, for example, like how many users on Facebook? No one knows a real number. No one, even on Facebook, they don't know real number. Up to the particular user because the new users being created all the time. That's on the really big data. Well, when the real big data starts, when you are not working with middle-sized data, but then you work with big data. It means then from the statement select count all, select count star doesn't work anymore because just executing count users over billions of Facebook users will take a long time. And your database will be busy counting instead of serving customer queries. So working with big data is actually much harder than working with data of small or middle size you might be used to. On the brighter side, developers working with advanced solutions like Cassandra have some knowledge to get and have some work to do, but we are getting better paid, so I'm fine with that as long as I get my money. Good. So we got our data, we discussed pagination, and we discussed page state. Very nice. Now, okay, this part is done. We created our database, and we're storing and getting data from this database. That's nice. So that means what we will switch to build front-end part. Let's first speak about that a little bit. Serverless plus client. We are going, as we have data now, we are going to run application. As we discussed, we will have two deployments. One deployment is development for changes, and one deployment is production for real application being used by visitors. What do we do? For the production, we use Netlify. On its free tier, it will be totally enough for our application. And for development environment, we will use Gitpod. You will do it too in a moment. For both of them, we will use our AstroDB deployment. Normally, please notice, normally it's not how it works. You will have separate database for production and separate database for development. I believe some of you might be laughing right now. And yeah, I'm totally agree. I'm totally with you. Now, In this case, for the simplification, we will use the same database for both development environment and production environment, just for the simplification of our work. If you want to reproduce it, how it really works in real deployments, in a real application, in real businesses, you will have to create two different key spaces or maybe two different databases and fill them with data like we did already using, for example, GraphQL Playground, and work with them separately, having smaller amount of data on your development environment and real amount of data and real customer data on a real environment, production environment. For the simplification, we will have only one database here. So we will use Netlify. We will start with a production deployment. You will see in a moment. And Netlify will create a copy of this workshop using your GitHub account. So GitHub account is required for the next step. Now, on Netlify, it will be running using serverless functions. On Gitpod, it will be running using your browser. Good. And we can proceed with the third part of the hands-on, which is dedicated to run app. Good. That's the final and most important part of our workshop today. So let me switch to that part. I'm going to Part 2, build and deploy front-end application. By the way, all the source code of this application, as you could guess, is the part of this repository. So everything what we do, all the source code, you see it's all here present in the code. So you can go and see how it works and how it uses React, effects, states, and all the others. So I'm going to the step 8. Yeah, no, 8 we did already. Yes, to part 2, step 1, deploy skeletal graphical user interface to Netlify. So first thing we do, we are pushing this deploy to Netlify button and preferably make a control click to open it in a new tab because you want to keep this GitHub repo open. Netlify greets us and he wants to connect to GitHub account to create this workshop GraphQL Netflix repository. So I push the button connect to GitHub. I don't know why it's open it in full screen. Okay. So I don't authorize my private, where are we? What's going on here? Yes, good. And so I've configured my website. Repository name will be workshop GraphQL Netflix. And I push save and deploy. It will take a couple of minutes because Netlify now makes forks, clones code, and configures site, and we see what site deploy in a progress. So I'm in my team. I see their sites, and this site name is Chick Puppy, blah blah blah. You can rename it, of course. Site has not yet been deployed. Deployment is progress, and we can open deploy step, and we see what deploy is currently building. So you can open it, and you see what deploy is in progress. We can watch deploy log on how this process works. I see no questions in the YouTube chat. That means all you guys are busy building, and that is totally exciting. We love those hands-on part of this workshop. If you don't follow, if you just watch and do it later on your own, still totally fine. We will be with you on Discord. Good. So looks like npm install is happening. If you are not in the front end, that means what we are installing some dependencies. Okay, couple of warnings, but nothing serious. And looks like we are mostly done. Creating optimization production build, yeah, because it's going to be production-like deployments. we are packaging functions for serverless functions from functions directory. What will serve our queries? You can open those. You can open source code of those functions and take a look at them. For example, here, those are serverless functions to be served by Netlify. They work as a backend for our application. As you see, there are queries what we use it to have already, and you can see how do you work with those from GitHub. Obviously, they are not using Playground here because Playground is just a user interface to play a bit with GraphQL, but that's how we use GraphQL for real in JavaScript applications. And notice how we handle paging, for example, page side, page state. It all comes from the values of a previous query, and then how we execute that. Okay. So I hope our build is done. Finished process building in 1 minute 30 seconds. Thank you, Netlify. Well done. So we have, and you see this button, open production deploy. So I push this button and I have my Netflix homepage deployed, and it's empty at the moment, and that is totally fine. We will fill it in a moment. Currently, it's empty. Good. Now, to explain why it's empty. Currently, Netlify is not linked to your database. Netlify deployment is not yet linked to your database. That's why it doesn't work at the moment. But we will do it soon. Now, let me check one moment. Yes, we can proceed safely. Let me switch back. And it was part 2. Yeah, perfect. So we deployed our site. It's currently empty, but it already works. So, for example, you can open this one in your browser. If you are following along, you will have your own link, right? But if you are doing it, if you are not doing it with me right now, which is fine, you can open, for example, this link in your browser and see if it works or not. Nice. Now let's proceed. Build is complete. Now, we are developers, we are engineers. That means what we are developing things. Just deploying site is not enough. We have to change something. So to do that, we will need IDE, Integrated Development Environment, main tool to develop applications. You can clone this repository and do it on your own laptop, but I recommend to proceed with Gitpod because it's the supported way to run this application. So we are going to do this fork. Now notice, you must be reading this README from your GitHub repository. Let me explain this. Currently, we are located at github.com DataStax devs workshop GraphQL Netflix. You are not, I am authorized to do the changes because I'm the owner of this repository, but you are not. So if you will try to change anything using this workshop repo, it will not allow you because you are not the owner. For you, Netlify created a fork of this repository. So you have to find this fork. You can just open your own GitHub, or another option will be for us, just click on this website and click this GitHub link. Notice this GitHub link deploys from GitHub. It leads to your repository of the application, not mine. Then I open GitHub, for example, here. It will be not DataStax developers, but my GitHub profile. So you can see what it's different. You have your own GitHub profile, not mine. And from this point, you have to proceed reading this README from your account, not from DataStax developers account, because on your account, you can make changes. You are the owner. You successfully forked this repository, or better to say, Netlify conveniently forked it for you. Very nice. So to stay on a safe side, you can just close DataStax developers README and switch to your account name workshop GraphQL Netflix repository and proceed from now on there using your own account. This way you can change application, play with it safely, and you will not get access denied exception. Good. So I scroll down and I scroll to step part 2, step 2, step 2b, launch Gitpod. Gitpod is a cloud IDE, cloud integrated development environment. Please open it in new tab. Open link in the new tab, because we will need this README to be opened. Gitpod starts. It can take some time, but in the end, it will open this workshop source code. And if you ever work it with VS Code, Visual Studio Code, you might notice some, sorry, let me, on your account, it will not happen, but on my, might have some special changes. Disable, yes, I have to restart it. And now it will open for me. Good. At your account, it should not happen because I'm getting a no referral. Ah, got it. Okay, good. So, application is being built for us, so soon we can run it. Meanwhile, you can explore this source code of this application. You can take a look at the functions, what we discussed already on how exactly do we get movies in JavaScript, or how the overall React application might work, might look, and so on and so forth. Good. I'm still getting a no referral. Did I miss a step? Might be. Frankly, I don't recognize this no referral error. Could you please tell me at which step do you get this error, Rachel? Ah, maybe, yeah. Maybe it's a browser problem. If that's Gitpod part, Gitpod doesn't really work in Safari. I'm sorry for that. It's not easy to launch an IDE in your browser. When you open Gitpod, then please try to use another browser. I believe we use it Chrome. What else did we use? Like Firefox works well. I believe Cedric used Brave. So this part should work. Okay, so preparational steps are done. And also README opens right here, so you can keep scrolling README right here without switching from Gitpod, which also might be convenient, so we don't have to change tab all the time. I'm scrolling to the next part to see what we are doing next. Okay, so we open it in Gitpod. And Rachel, please, yeah, on Brave it should work, I believe. If it works for you in another browser, please let us know. Good. Yeah, button works on Chrome and Firefox, on Brave, I believe too. Good. Yes. Now, finally, we have to set up database for this instance of application. Easiest way to set up application to work with Astra, Cassandra as a service, is using Astra CLI. Astra CLI is just a console tool what helps you working with Astra. Okay, thank you, Glober. Good to know. So first, we are going. You have Astra CLI already installed. If you execute command Astra, you will have it running. In your local environment, if you do it locally, not in Gitpod, then you might need to install Astra CLI first, but let's stick to the Cloud IDE for a moment. We have to do Astra setup. Oops. Okay, still works for me. Astra setup. Gitpod asks me if I allow to see text and images from the clipboard. Yes, I allow. Astra setup. And Astra setup asks me for Astra token. Very good. I save it with token. I hope you did too. So I'm copying this token and I copy my token here. I will terminate this token very soon because it's publicly available now. It's considered to be security breach, of course, but it's my screen share it, not yours, so yours should be fine. Now, with this Astra token, Astra was configured. So we can switch back. And now we want to download some data because we have some videos there available, but we might want to have more. So first thing we do here is to copy this command, AstraDB load workshops, using this URL. Key space will be Netflix, table will be movies by genre. Astra Live will do this work for us. And you can find the source file in data folder, movies by genre CSV. Well, not a big surprise. You can imagine what kind of a data is stored here, some information about the movies. So I'm executing this command downstairs. First, it will download special tool called DSBulk. This DataStax bulk loader for Apache Cassandra and DataStax Enterprise and Astro, of course. So it's going to be uploading this file to your database. This command might take a couple of seconds, but now it's done. That means what I have much more movies in my database, and I hope you have two on yours. Hi, Rochelle. Yeah, good, it's working now. Good to know. Now, let's proceed with README. We have this data loaded, and now we can switch to part with serverless functions. Okay, time 256. If you get invalid token, first of all, check what your token, yeah, your token looks correct. Check if you didn't copy pasted any, you get the same error. Good. So that means for this step, we are missing some privileges, and I know how to fix it. So let me show you. If you are getting the same error, we have to get to our Astra. Let me sign in back again. So we will create another token. For DSBulk operations, you might need privileged access. So you go to your database workshops. And we will create a token with a proper privileges. So workshops, connect, and create custom token. It will create a token for your organization. And you create a token specifying database administrator. So here, generate a new token, you select role, database administrator. This one will give you enough privilege to upload data. So you push a generate token button, and here is your token you need to copy. Then first one might be not enough to use it with DSBulk. So database administrator level token will give you enough privileges to work with DSBulk. And don't forget to download token details because, again, you will never see this page again. Christian, in most of the cases, this error with Playground happens then, or you are on a wrong tab. So, for example, you are trying to create a table in GraphQL instead of GraphQL schema, or another kind of a mistake. If you are okay, you are going to create table. So to create table statement must be executed in GraphQL schema folder. Notice how to see if it's the right tab. It ends with API GraphQL schema. When you do this here, it should work for you. Nice. So let's get here. Let's keep moving. Shantanu Bansal. Okay, some of my friends will try to answer you on GitHub because on YouTube comments because we have to keep moving. I'm getting back to Gitbot, and we have this data loaded. Now I want to this part we will be skipping. Yeah, install Netlify client. Got to work. Perfect. You are on GraphQL schema. Field create table and type mutation is undefined. Okay, maybe Kirsten has some ideas about that. For all the hours we will be working. Now, working with Netlify, you have two options. You can deploy it for real for Netlify, what we will do again very soon. But also we want, as we work in development environment, we work to emulate Netlify on our own laptop, or in this case, in our own browser. To do so, we will have to install one dependency, call it Netlify client. So client library to work with Netlify. I execute this statement. It will take a second to install Netlify client. Yeah, maybe previous comment wasn't done yet. That's also a good guess. Thank you, Kirsten. Please check what the previous one was executed already. Good. NPM is installed. NPM Netlify client is installed, Solem. Now I want to configure this application to work with my database. There are two ways to do it. You can do it manually. That's explained how to do it manually in this hidden spoiler text. But I'm lazy. I don't want to do it manually. So I will go with astrocli command, which will create a .env file for Keyspace Netflix for database workshops. I simply do this command. And everything is done, everything is configured, .env file appeared. If you will open a .env file, you will see some special tokens, configurations, everything your application needs to know to work safely with database. Good. So this part must be done. This part must be done, and that means what we can keep going with the next steps. And now we can install our dependencies with npm install. If you're familiar with frontend, that should sound familiar to you as well. And then we will do netlify dev command, which will launch your Netlify application on your local machine or in cloud, in this case, as we use Gitbot. Okay, npm install is done. Now I do netlify dev. It will take a couple of functions. Let me explain you this part with netlify dev. The point is, we not only have our normal application, but we also have serverless functions. They have to be executed separately because by itself, your application will not launch it as a serverless function in the cloud using Netlify. So when you start Netlify dev, it will do exactly this work. It will launch your front-end application, but also it will launch those functions, get generous and get movies as serverless backend for your application. And you see what function server is listening on one port, and the front-end application is being dispatched from another port, from port 8888. So that's the work what netlify dev command does. Very nice. Edge functions environment ready. We will get to those errors. People, I really want to help you. Let me finish with this part, and we will get to your errors. We can stay in the stream for a little bit longer to fix it and make it working for you. If you cannot, then we can later proceed on Discord. Good. So, and meanwhile, Netlify and Gitport conveniently open it in the tab in the symbol browser, so we can see what the main page started to work using our development environment. Yeah, and Mohammed, my friend and colleague Cedric would be happy to hear that. He is a Java fan, and we have also multiple workshops using Java, not JavaScript. Okay, so we see what application works. We are getting our genre and movies from this genre and movies for this genre. And notice this infinite scroll. As I scroll down, you may notice it here. New genres going to be loaded automatically. Okay, looks like I run out. Oh, no, 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 it's fine. They're being loaded. And we see it in Netlify log right here, responsive status, and so on and so forth. Of course, you can open this link in a browser and it will work. So that's my Netlify's Netflix style page. And notice the path it uses gitpod.io. It's our dev environment. So it's a development where we put changes and we get them immediately. You don't lead your customers like real people don't go over. It's only for you. And normally it's not publicly available, of course. So at our Netlify, so which is our production environment, we still have nothing because it's not connected to the database yet. Good. Yeah, right. Um, Now notice if I stop this with Control C, I stop Netlify dev server, and obviously simple browser immediately stops to work. And if I will renew this page, port 888 no, not found. Gitpod says us because application stopped, so it doesn't serve anymore on port 8888 like it was before. Nice. Uh, so now it works, and now we want to push the changes to the Netlify deployment. What are the changes? Configuration. So we need to explain to our production deployment what's going to be. I can close simple browser, I guess. Good. What going to be our changes? To do so, we need to do Netlify login, which will link our Gitpod installation with our Netlify account. So I do Netlify login. Uh, it's trying to open this page. So grab URL printed on the console and manually open it in new tab. Gitpod or blocks it for security. So open Netlify app. Yep, authorize application. Application name it Netlify CLI is asking for permission to access Netlify on your behalf. So do you trust it? You can revoke access at any time. Please review details, redirect URI, description. Yes, so everything is fine. So I authorize it. Authorization granted. Very nice. Let me see how it goes. Yeah, looks like Netlify is linked. I can type Netlify status. Netlify status to see the results, to see what they're linking. You don't appear to be in a folder what's linked to a site, but what matters is I'm a collaborator. I didn't run Netlify link, yes. Right, so we are logged in, but the application doesn't know which particular site we are deploying. Good. So we are logged in. And now we have to, as I say, associate our Netlify site with Netlify link as it tells us. I push Netlify link. And how do you want to link this folder to a site? Use current git remote origin, search by full. Yeah, yes, I just want to current git remote origin. Yes, directory linked. And now I can ask again for Netlify status and see what my current Netlify status is. All set and done. Site URL is known. Site ID is known. Everything is fine. Good. Now I'm doing this link what was missing before. I give Netlify, oops, I give a command to Netlify to import environment from the file.env. As you remember, file.env describes configuration. How do I work with a database? So I just copy paste those. And Netlify will import environment variables from this file automatically. Another way to do that would be to go to Netlify and configure those site settings here. But I don't want to do it. I will, again, I'm a lazy developer. I will just do it right from here. Good. Now we're gonna build this file, build this up prepare it for Netlify. We can do it as we have already Netlify command installed. We can do it with Netlify build command. It will do all the required steps to prepare Netlify configuration, which is explained in Netlify TOML file. It's a Netlify specific. So how do you run applications there? Looks like it's done. And then finally, in README, we say Netlify deploy prod. Again, new deploy will be initiated. You can see it inside overview in deploys page. Production uploading. So new code being delivered to your Netlify account. We can click it and see the logs. Uploaded, uploaded, uploaded. Site is live. So with those new changes, we can go to your Netlify app account and see hopefully what it works. Maybe I forgot some step. No, it should work in general. Let me see how it goes. This one I don't need. Right, it's a different deployment. That's why I need a new link. Okay, it's good. So that is my instance of this app. It's publicly available, and even then I will terminate, even when I will close my laptop and go to bed, it still will be available to develop to whatever visitors who would like to visit it. And it also features this infinite scroll, which works slowly for me, but it works. Should work at least. Good. So that was the end of a necessary part. What do we do now? We discuss next steps. We discuss homework. We play a little game, so you will answer questions and you will try to make it fast. And you know what? Actually, let's play game right now. And after that, we will discuss next steps. So first things first, it's a quiz time. So open Menti. If you, I should have told you not to close it, but I think I forgot. So once again, it's menti.com and code is on the screen. Let me highlight it. Yes. Code 95227152, or just scan the QR code right on the screen. And after that, I will stay with you and we will try to fix the error. Play button in Playground doesn't work. You mean on the application? Yes, of course. We cannot do it because of it's just the preview. It will not play the video for real because we will be sued by all the corporations starting from Netlify, starting from Netflix via our friends. But no, you will not watch. You cannot watch movies where it's only trailers, only previews. Sorry. Yes, in Token Land, with all the others. With all the other errors, we can help you. We can stay longer and help you, or we can discuss them later using our Discord. By the way, don't forget to sign in. But if you have, yes, we can rewrite the existing prod, of course. Yes, 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 you can rewrite the existing prod. Good. So I hope you join it. And now let's play a little game. It's a quiz time, and I see many people here. No, application is not making calls to the Netflix APIs. Application is making call to first front-end application makes calls to serverless functions deployed on Netlify. Netlify and Netflix are different projects, and yeah, Netflix doesn't deliver such an API. And then those serverless functions make use of the GraphQL functions for us, and they go to Astra. So real competition begins. And now I will start questions, and you will try to answer as soon as possible. Faster you answer, more points do you get, and well, more proud you are of yourself. 48 players ready. Can we make it 50? I still have place for a couple of more players. No, 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 no. Don't go down, go up. Uh, okay, some people are joining. Let's go. Sorry, 48. Good. So answer fast to get more points. What is AstroDB? AstroDB is a local in-memory database. It's a gateway to the stars. It's a persistent framework for Haskell. It's a database as a service based on Apache Cassandra. Faster you answer, more points you get. So try to be quick. Okay, no, it's not local in-memory database. It's database as a service, Apache Cassandra as a service. Nice, 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 nice. Now, let's go then. Next question. Who was the fastest? Sorry, yeah, who was the fastest? Uh, Leaderboard. Elsa was the fastest with Srinath, just a couple of points later, and Nikolaus on the second place, on the third place. Let's move on. Question number 6. Mushtaba, I will answer in a moment when we finish the quiz. Answer fast to get more points. In GraphQL, you write data to a database with a query, edit, mutation, write, can only read, no write. That would be quite an API. Time is almost over. Answer fast to get more points. So, time is over. Most of you made it right. In GraphQL, mutation is the way how you write data. Query is the way to retrieve. And write term does not exist in GraphQL terminology. So what changes on our leaderboard? Who was the fastest this time? I think that was Migi with Adi on the second place and Beyonce on the third. Okay, quite some guests. I see Glover is very close, like on the fourth position, very close to top 3. But the distance in between is just like a couple of points. That's nothing. Question number 3. Many players ready, so let's go. Answer fast to get more points. What can't you do with GraphQL? Auto discoverability, schemaless, federation, response customization. We didn't discuss GraphQL in details, but the answer definitely can be guessed. So time is over. And right answer is schemaless. In GraphQL, you have to always explicitly define schema of your data. Doesn't matter what source it is. GraphQL supports strictly structured data only. But auto discoverability, federation sends GraphQL to 0, if I remember it right, and response customization are totally feasible with GraphQL. Now I expect a lot of changes on the leaderboard. Okay, all the leaders made a mistake, but Glober, pay attention, and Watson and Joanna, so they get like making those leaders now with a huge gap of around 500 points. from all the others. So good job, but we still have some more questions. So there might be some changes. Pay attention. We are heading to the next question, question number 4. So answer fast to get more points. What are the terms used for paging? Paging size and paging cursor, page size and page state, page number, or book title and bookmark. What are the terms used for paging? What's going to be? Right, page size and page state. Cursor comes from another databases, so I see some people with experience of pagination in our database, but in GraphQL, you have page size and page state. That's what use it for paging. So how it goes? None of the leaders made a mistake this time. All leaders made it right. And Glober leads with now pretty nice difference of 300 points to Watson, and Miggy getting closer back to the top. That's going to be question number 5. So answer fast to get more points. Netlify is a Java application server, platform to build and deploy web applications, code review tool, software to calculate your tax rate. What is a Netlify? Nice, right. Netlify is a platform to build and deploy web applications. That's what we use it today. And leaderboard then uh, looks like who was the fastest? Okay, Roar jumps to the 3rd place. Nice, nice, nice. So there is still competition in, but Glober holds his 1st place. And well, looks like Watson has not so many chances to jump over and get the 1st, but well, still 2nd place is still very good. You know, there are many dozens of people in the competition. And that, ladies and gentlemen, going to be last question. So, answer fast to get more points. What is the main benefit of using serverless functions? Backend infrastructure not specified explicitly. Known serverless functions are only for local development. I only need one function to retrieve my data. What is the main benefit of using serverless functions? Okay, right. Backend infrastructure not specified explicitly. Usually working with clouds, you have to explicitly specify what kind of hardware you're going to have for your deployment, and then change manually its count if you are expecting more customers to visit your website and use your application. In our case, we just said use these functions as serverless, and then Netlify takes care of that and scales automatically without us being explicitly telling him what to do, what to use. And judging by the comment of Glober Nespoli, oops, looks like we are going to have another winner, let's say, not the one I was expecting. So I only need one function to retrieve my data. Well, not really. It may depend. But the general idea of a serverless is what you don't specify. Yeah, looks like you don't need to specify explicitly what the backend infrastructure will it be and how it scales. By the way, interesting point. What Apache Cassandra is a service. So AstroDB works exactly the same way. We are using serverless approach, so it scales automatically. We've no need for you to explicitly specify how many database servers you need for your deployment. Now, for this small application, you only living on the free servers, so your data replicated 3 times for highest availability. If one server is down, your application still can be working. But for a bigger deployments, you definitely need more servers. And then this scaling is done by DataStax for us to be automatically. So another benefit of a serverless. So final leaderboard. Who was that? Yeah, Glober makes mistake. That gives much more chances to Watson to jump in using a mistake of others. Oh, perfect. So Miggy made it to the 3rd place, overtaking Roar again. Glober gets to the second despite his mistake, and Watson gets to the first place. Hey, it was Miguel Costello, right? Back to the top. Ah, no, it was Miguel. Yeah, right. But who is Watson? Please write your name in the YouTube chat so we will congratulate you. Now, if you are in top three, be proud of yourself. If you are not in top three, still be proud of yourself because you invested your time wisely. Now you know more about how web application works, about how works deployments with Netlify, what kind of a Cassandra. Hey, Phil Sunavar, congrats. That is a great job. Uh, um, that's especially if you never win on those. Now you know you win, but everyone is a winner because you invested your time very well and you learned so many good things today. One last thing with Mentium, a little quick survey. What did you like? Maybe we should improve something. Please write your answers. I will I will keep this window open so you can write your responses even afterwards. Uh, Everything, I hope it was about what did you like, not what should be improved. Thank you so much. And yeah, let me switch to the last slides. Yeah, I know. I'm glad you liked it. So what's next? Quiz, homework, and so on and so forth. Quiz we just did. Homework. So homework is where is my homework? On this GitHub account, GitHub page, it's explained. Actually, you know what? On YouTube, you can just type homework, boom, and Nightbot will paste a link for us. Good. Complete hands-on by adding your own movie to the database. Try to play with it and add it manually using Playground. Show the new movie in the running app and make a screenshot. Answer a couple of questions and you will be done. Optionally, change client code. You can do a deep dive into how exactly this code works with video from Anya Kubov. A very interesting video explaining fundamentals of React and using this application. Link is in GitHub. So reach us for anything, questions, or all the other things at Discord. Next thing. Yeah, we are processing badges manually. So dispatching a badge can take a couple of days. Don't worry, it's people included process. Now, join Discord, Apache Cassandra, but not only community related to our workshops. Continue learning. If you want to change your career, if you want to become certified for Apache Cassandra and become a certified NoSQL developer or administrator, go to academy.datastax.com, choose the developer learning path or administrator learning path, and get certified for free. Good. That was it. Thank you. And as a last step, especially as we have 10 more minutes, I definitely can stay and try to help you with the errors. If we cannot do it live, then please let's do it later on Discord. I will switch off soon, but my colleagues will be there and I will jump back to Discord tomorrow because it's already pretty late in Germany. It's getting dark. So we will do it then tomorrow. You can proceed those steps. So what is the status of the current questions? Let me check. I see David and Kirsten are handling questions. Thank you so much. Aditya, thank you so much for your warm words. Somnath, Mushtabai, Phil, Rachel, thank you so much for your warm words. I am glad you liked it. Don't forget what we have workshop coming in 2 weeks, making AI as an API. So we're making an artificial intelligence or machine learning solution for as an REST API application. Thank you, Miguel. I'm glad you liked it. So subscribe for new workshops. Subscribe for YouTube. Don't forget likes and subscribes on YouTube. Michelle Yates, I'm sorry, I'm not sure if I read your last name wrong. Database workshops has not been found. Mostly probably when you create a database, you gave it a different name. So easiest way is just to recreate, redo first steps having database workshop. And in Discord, you can copy paste video, picture, screenshots, so it will be easier to debug using Discord. Yep. So I will know. Yeah, I believe David is happened with all of us. I'm totally sure. My first experience of debugging was when I was 12, so quite long time ago. It was QBasic, and I did a typo in the variable name, and it was allowed. Just new variable none was created, like it would happen normally with JavaScript, for example. But the outcome of this error was overflow of an array happening 5 pages, five screens of the code later. And I spent a week debugging it, and I was like 10 or 12 years old. It was totally insane. Oh my God. After a week, when I found out what was just a minor typo, 1 full week of debugging. Oh my God. I thought I will never work, never use computer again because I'm so dumb. But, well, maybe it's not only with me. Yeah, oh, workshops one. No, I called it workshop one to show you a database creation process, but your real name should be workshops. Yes, yes. Links to the new workshops. Why Nightbot ignored me? Workshops. Oh my God, I'm doing 2 types in a row. Workshops. In my defense, I said what I'm still jet lagged because I got from United States yesterday. And for me, it feels like it's early morning and actually it's late evening. Yes, datastax.com/workshops to see next event. We run workshops twice a month, and next workshop is going to be very interesting. Next workshop, you will have Stefano Latini and Artem Chibatko doing AI as an API machine learning with some REST. So for those who are interested in machine learning and want to know more, that helps to understand how machine learning works for natural language processing, so-called NLP. And for those who are already into machine learning and wants to know more about deployment, REST API, this second part of this workshop, main part of this workshop is about deploying machine learning application, text classifier, so it will be available using REST API. And that's a free hands-on workshop. So this part is very, very, very important to us. Good. Then looks like most of the errors was handled already. I believe we are done for today, and we will be on Discord server to answer your questions. Might be not today because yeah, it's 7 p.m. already, and I want to get my dinner. And for some of you, it's already even much later. There are people from India, right? So for you, it's like getting closer to midnight. Please invite your friends to our workshops. You know those are of a good quality, and we work with many different interesting technologies. So call your friends. Sharing is caring. Our workshops is free, and we have unlimited seats. So it only helps us to get it helps your friends to get more knowledge and helps us to make new friends. Thank you, Luis, for the warm words. Yeah, I like this workshop. So have a great time then, and meet you later on our Discord server. Thank you for the great question. Thank you for doing it with us. And last thing, if you would like to connect with me on LinkedIn, it's always great to have more friends. That's linked to my LinkedIn profile. So you can connect with me, and I'm always happy to have more friends on LinkedIn. With that, thank you so much for joining. And I believe we are done for today. Let me check. Yes, so everything what I wanted to do is done. Then hopefully see you again in 2 weeks. Have a great week. Ciao.